Hello, everyone, and welcome to the February Club. I'm happy that you're here, and we've got a really great session planned for you all today, which I will introduce in a minute. First of all, though, I do want to let you all know that, as promised, we always take your feedback into account, and because we value it so highly, because we do this for you. We want to make sure that we're presenting topics that are important to you and that will help you in your career development. And for that reason, we reward all of your feedback greatly by putting your names into the bag to win a coveted K-Club mug every month. And so I will ask our discussion facilitator for this month to do the honors of selecting the name of who wins this month's mug based on last month's survey responses. Thank you. It is Arumi Magua. Have that? Maguma. Well, this person shall win a mug, and we will make sure that they will get this. So please follow the link that Barbara Warren will send out at the end of today's session and give us feedback on today's topic, and then also let us know what you'd like to see for the future. So for today, I want to introduce our esteemed panel, who were carefully selected based on the fact that they've mentored so many different people, not only mentored them in short term and helping them be successful mentees, but they all have track record in also helping traverse the gap to becoming a mentor. So we all know it's sort of one skill set and to be receptive in being a mentor, but then when you become a mentee, but then when you become a mentor, it's a whole new ball of wax. Maybe you've never managed people before. You don't have any formal training in that, but now you have to do it. Maybe there's some financial expertise that you need to know, or how do you not just tell people what to do, but you actually help them arrive at these conclusions on themselves. The things that your mentor maybe did so well that you didn't even know it was happening, now you're put in that position where you have to do that. So that's what we hope to learn today. So Dr. Luann Brown, who's a professor in pediatrics and is also the director of the Office of Postdoctoral Education at Emory, is going to facilitate our panelists. Coltrane, who is the Human Resources Director in Department of Pediatrics, and we've carefully selected her for this panel because she's seen a lot of HR issues and can probably give us some great anecdotes and tips and tricks of the trade in terms of managing people, hiring people, things like that. Dr. Greenbaum is a professor in neurology and pediatrics, and actually was recently, no, I'm sorry, what did I say? You have to forgive me, I'm coming out of a fog of being sick. Thank you. He was actually recently awarded the Career Development Mentor of the Year Award in Department of Pediatrics. Larry Scahill, who's professor at Marcus Autism Center in Pediatrics, also has a really terrific reputation of mentoring so many different people and helping them transverse into becoming a mentor in their own right. And for Paula Vertino, who's a professor in Radiology Oncology and Winship, and became highly recommended by her group and her peers for her ability to mentor as well. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Brown, and this is just a reminder of the K-Clubs we have coming up next month and after.
I appreciate your coming, and I really appreciate the panel here, because this is going to be an active discussion about some strengths and potential things that you really need to think about, the plus and how you juggle all these. So what are the essential functions of a mentor? So I'm going to go to the panelists, and I'm going to ask them, so first of all, there's a lot involved in becoming a mentor. It's not just saying, this is your project, go do it. Okay? And the problem is, it is not for the faint of heart. Because sometimes it's tricky and it keeps you up at night. All right, so the questions are, what are some characteristics of a successful mentor-mentee relationship? Anybody on the panel want to start there? Go it to first. Anybody? I'll start. Somebody's got to break the ice. All right, so I think one of the first things that's a good characteristic of a successful mentor-mentee relationship is understanding and working towards the career goals of mentee. The goal here is not to create a mini-me, but a career and what they need to do. So one characteristic is paying attention to their career goals and actively working towards it. Anybody else? Fine, but I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
I'd say junior faculty person, both sides, figure out what they're doing. Because I think a lot of times people don't even know what's going on. And I'm not like to expect some years to articulate learning as well. So that's a I think that's the main.
Anybody?
I think it's important to okay. I think it's also important to know what mentoring you will be providing to the mentee after you, or they want to, what their goals are, what they want to achieve. Most mentees will need multiple mentors. They have a specific role as a mentor. Some people's goals more scientific, some people's goals more just career development, some people do a combination of things. Sometimes you're part of a mentoring team, and your role may be very circumscribed. But it's important to know and establish up front what your role will be. Hold it closer.
Yeah.
So I think that letting that established in advance is very important, and it may evolve and change during the course of the relationship as you're going through things. It may be that, for example, the science may drift away from your expertise to someone else's expertise. Your mentor may be more in just general career advice and no longer the scientific advice, although potentially a little bit.
Okay.
In my opinion, that one thing is that's important is to provide the tools and resources to solve them. I mean, your impetus is to try to solve everything for them because the experience and everything else is that sometimes it's difficult to take a step back and say, okay, you know, it would be easy for me to answer this question off the top of what I would do. And then, you know, support ultimately for them to figure it out. So, you know, I do think that so it goes over some time to let that happen.
Phone over there.
I really probably say that, you know, I'll kind of approach this a little bit more from the HR perspective. We're actually employing somebody. I recognize that sometimes the mentor relationship is not necessarily a supervisor relationship as well. But I would say definitely an open door policy. As Luann said, this is not the goal to create a mini-me relationship or what have you. An open door policy where you're willing to listen to what your employee or your mentor needs and what their ideas are. So when they come to you, Paula said, don't jump in and answer questions for them all the time necessarily, but ask you what do you think or what would you do in this situation. And the other big thing I say is don't, you need to be clear on the goals that you have in mind for the relationship. You can't always assume that everybody is going to work in the manner that you work in, have the same personality, have have got to be the clearest thing to have clear goals.
Anything else? Anybody else want to add? I think it's important to be an active listener and to understand that the rear goals or the goals of they came and first met you have potential to change. The more they know, change. And sometimes we get stuck in a mindset that this is their career goal, but underneath it, how it's changed. And we're not cognizant of that change, and so can't help. So it's back to constantly, or not constantly, but being tuned enough to understand what the career goals are, how you can help, and then to create a mentoring team that says, well, I don't really know how to do that, but so-and-so over here does. Bring them into the conversation so that it can be more developed. Okay? The next question is, what is the best advice you can give to a new mentor?
Well, I can mention some errors I made.
Yes.
And kind of what, to Paula's point earlier, I think early on I overestimated the mentee. I had expectations that they knew more about where they had it and what they wanted to do. And I think I probably didn't. I didn't help them along as much as I might have, because I thought, well, these are very well educated, really smart people. They must know what they want to do.
Yeah. They came to you after all.
But I would say that don't overestimate. I think you don't want to underestimate either, obviously, but don't too high expectations in the short run.
All right. Yes?
I would come on that because there's a lot of smiles in the room when we're talking about not expecting them to have the same, work the same you do, think the same way you do. That's the common mistake, and I guess the other thing is you're going to do this by making and realizing them and trying to modify your behavior to sort of natural. So definitely tell everyone that this is the most difficult part of my job early on, and it continues to be the most difficult
Yes.
part of my job. It doesn't go away. You can learn how to write a grant, you can learn how to write a paper, you learn a lot of these other skills, but this is a skill that keeps on developing over probably the entirety of your career. So there's an expectation early on that, I'm going to fill my lab with people who are, work exactly the same way I do, and they're going to have the same goals I do, and this sort of thing, and that's rarely true. And so you have to be careful about your expectations, learning their learning style, and each person is different, and every person that comes into your group and every person that leaves your group changes the dynamic of the group overall. And so while you're constantly reevaluating a lot of those things, and patience, again, with yourself.
Yes.
Yourself, because you're going to make some mistakes. We probably sit up here just for the whole hour and talk about, where we wish we could.
Yes.
In HR, we always say don't rush to hire a warm body. Sometimes you get so focused on, especially if you're trying to employ somebody, you think that you've got to get your research done, you've got pressure, you have a grant waiting, you need to get show productivity, and you want to get somebody in place quickly. But I can tell you from years of experience that when you make those rush decisions and you don't fully evaluate all your candidates, and you do reference checking and things like that, and just get a warm body in, you're going to spend more time having to manage the person and potentially manage the person out. and that's not where you want to spend your time. So it takes a lot of time on the front end rather than back.
Yeah.
I was going to say that it's important to be realistic about who to mentor and how many people you can mentor. It takes a lot of time to mentor people, and if you take on too many people, you won't have time to do it well. And so you also try to, or offer to mentor people you don't necessarily have the skill set to mentor them. Sometimes people will come to you for one reason or another, and they expect you to mentor them on a project, and it's not something where you have the expertise to provide that mentorship, and you need to be realistic with them and tell them that. When a mentor, mentee, again, it takes time, so you need to plan on meetings, you need to be able to meet deadlines. When they give you a grant to review, you need to sure you're able to review that grant in a timely fashion so that it can be helpful to them. And so if you take on more than you have time to do, you won't do it very well. I think those are important components of the relationship. And it's flattering to be asked to mentor someone, but at some point, you may need to say no, just like you may need to say no to a lot of things during your career. And this one is really most important because a lot of times if you take on too many things, you'll just go out. But in this case, you'll let one down during the career development, and that's a mistake you don't want to make.
Well, I think focusing a little bit on research. I think one of the difficult paths to weave through is as a junior faculty member, remembering that you have a mentee who also is seeking to develop an independent research career. And how are you going to carve out your own work and create paths for them to become independent? That's tricky because you may sit there and say, A, I employ them. B, I hired them because they have the skill set. And B, I got a progress report on my grant pretty soon. At least from the postdoc offices, one of the things we run into most often is where somebody is, I think this strictly from a research perspective, a trainee wants, or their mentee is trying to create an independent research career because the K requires, they know how are you going to become independent. And back to the mini-me question. If your research looks exactly like their research or vice versa, then it's hard to understand how these are going to come up with complementary but not the same. So I think particularly for junior faculty who are just moving into that part of their own research and trying to create their own research niche for themselves, bringing a mentee that also has a similar requirement can sometimes be tricky. It requires planning, it requires honest conversation, and it requires strategy. So that's an important point because it winds up being such a decisive issue often. So make sure you define your expectations and so that you know, even so far as to define, this is going to be my research career trajectory, and this is going to be yours, and write it down. And everybody agrees that's what it is, okay? Avoid problems in the future.
As a clinician, we often have, that's clearly a very, very important issue for people who are going on to similar career that you perhaps are undertaking, and I think that's critical, and working on developing that throughout the mentor-mentee relationship is very important. As a clinician, we often mentoring medical students and fellows, and not all of them going to want your career, and projecting your career onto them is something we tend to do when we're starting out, and we assume that because we went a certain route, that they're going to want to go a certain route, and they may simply want to do a program with you during medical school, and then they may want to become clinicians and not do any research after that. They may not want an academic career, or they may have fellows who are going to be very enthusiastic about doing the research during fellowship, but they want to go a different route after fellowship. And so not trying to project your career onto them, I think, is very important, because we tend to want people to be like us, and not everybody is like us.
Right. And it changes with time, and it can change with time. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a distinction between postdoctoral fellows and junior faculty. I think offering guidance, career guidance to postdocs is quite different than junior faculty. Because time goes by really quickly. A 2-year postdoc seems to go by just like that. So when I'm trying to help postdocs, I try to think about things that will come to fruition during their time. I would love to have them contribute to my 5-year project, but the 5-year project is going to be ongoing when they're gone.
Yeah.
So I would think about ways that they can participate and learn what there could be learned from the 5-year project, but at the same time, something that will allow them to be productive in that 2-year time span.
Yeah.
The junior faculty thing is quite different.
Yeah.
I think if you case now, if a junior faculty person comes to work with me, I'm going to sort of expect, or I'm going to suggest to them that they consider this for a little bit longer haul.
Yeah.
So that they can, that they've been part of a project from beginning to end, and kind of help them get ready for when they have their own grant.
Right.
So, so I think the challenge is quite.
Yes, totally agree. And the other thing is, my habit, when somebody comes and asks about doing this, I ask them, why did you pick me? Amazing what they will tell you. But in that moment, I now know what interested them and what is not of interest to them. So there's no need to design mentoring along this direction if they didn't pick me for that. Right? Because they don't see me in that role. So I waste mine. So ask them, why pick you? And it's amazing what they will tell you, and I think it's very informative what to tell you. Sure.
This comes up sometimes in the survey, what people want to know, and it kind of gets to your research as a mentor versus the mentees. So that's, we could do a whole cake on that, right?
Absolutely.
You have to be really strategic about it. But I wonder if you could comment on one aspect of that, and that is whether you're first author or last author. So specifically, as it relates to a K,
yes.
you're applying for a K, or a mentee is applying for a K, I would argue maybe they need to have more first author and maybe no last author papers because perhaps they're too far along. How do you all see first author versus last author as in terms of research ownership or other aspects you think are worth mentioning?
Oh, I love this. I'm a little older, and the older I've gotten, the more I push for the mentees. I've just noticed that trend. And, but yeah, I think that's the right way to go. Because when they have the K Award or their first R3 or whatever it is, and they have no grant track record, what are reviewers going to look for? They're going to look first author papers. That's what they're going to look for. They're not going to have much belief that this person is
Right.
right.
I would overall agree with that. Time to shift to senior author, but that's when you're at the point of attendance and sort of give the, I agree. They're gonna be looking for your track record as a mentee, right? Even though you've now switched to, you're on the path of becoming a mentor. It depends on where we're talking about. When and your
Timing's tricky.
Timing's tricky.
I would think with K awards, though, that's specifically what we're talking about here, is that first author publication is what they're, going to be for mostly. So.
That's, when you're just starting out as a mentor, that's a key question you need to ask yourself. Because you're early in your career, and first author publications may be important for you, even though you're a mentor. Or sometimes senior is also okay. You need to ask yourself, are you going to give this person you're mentoring the opportunity to be the first author on the publication? And this publication is really critical to your career. You really want to be first author. As a early mentor, you think twice about whether that's the price to give this person that you're mentoring. Because that is certainly the expectation I would have, that if they're drawing a project and they're trying for advancing their career, that they're going to want, they need to be first author. And if you don't feel you can provide that for them because of your own career, you think twice about that. I also feel, in general, first author is the opportunity for mentees, and I would even argue, if possible, making them corresponding author. Sometimes people will, the senior people will want to be corresponding author, but let the mentor be mentee, be first author. I really like to have them be the, unless they're very, sort of medical student level, where they're going to be moving institutions relatively soon, but certainly for fellows and junior faculty who want to be really corresponding author along with first author. I think that being senior author for certain senior people that you're mentoring may work out well if they the process of mentoring people and they deserve to be senior author. But that's a situation where, again, you may step back and say, I'm not going to be first author or senior author. I may be listed on the publication, or may not be, if you're having your mentee serve as the senior author and allowing the person that they're mentoring or who's doing a lot of the work to be the first author. So it's complex, but I think mentor, you need to be very clear on what you're willing to people do.
Early in my career, I was listed as the last author on a number of papers. It wasn't because I was a senior author. It was a different time, all the way to the last century. But I think the issue of postdocs versus junior faculty issues.
Yes.
In the postdoc time, this is why we have data sets. This is why we have secondary analyses. The paper might already be out there, but the available data for postdocs, that they don't have to wait until the end of some 5-year project. The project's already done, but they can pursue secondary analyses and lay papers in very fine journals as first author. And I think that's a little different when you start talking to senior faculty. Senior faculty, when they're junior, but they're moving forward, they might do the last job.
Right.
It's a different point.
Sitting on a K review panel, If you're writing a K and you're undergoing training, then you're first author. If you're sick, you don't need to be trained. You have to be strategic about what you're applying for and what are the rules of the road for that application process. Okay. Now, what are some obstacles or potential pitfalls to mentoring that one should avoid, assuming that you can avoid it, and that the circumstances don't present themselves anyway?
I'll jump in because that's one of my pet peeves with HR, is we've talked about setting clear goals and expectations, but the other one is not managing small problems when they occur. If you see, I can tell you from an HR standpoint, the number of supervisors or mentors that come in and are so upset with something the person that works in their lab or that they're mentoring is doing. And when I go and ask them and say, okay, well, what have you done? How have you guided this person? How have you tried to correct this problem? And they're like, they don't have anything. And even worse is I'll look at their progress report or their performance review, and they'll have glowing marks. And there's nothing documented to say that something has become an issue. So before you let a small issue become large, let's deal with the molehills rather than the mountains. And most people don't like conflict, so you've got to learn how to give constructive criticism.
It's just no smarter to learn how to give constructive criticism. When they leave the room crying, then you think, well, it didn't go as well as I'd hoped. And did anybody take anything home from that? Do you have any obstacles, pitfalls to avoid?
Well, I'm about to avoid, but
Yes.
I gotta go back, just a little bit back to the sort of warm body approach, which is I would strongly encourage, even though we have Skype these days, and we have all sorts of ways of communicating with people, would encourage people to meet people face to face. Encourage people, have them give a talk of some sort in your lab group, have them go with your lab or your group independently of you, so they have an opportunity to learn about you, and you have an opportunity to learn about them.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you'll have a feeling about this person, and I can't describe it, but every single time, and I've learned this mistake over and over. If you have a gut feeling about someone, it's actually usually correct, good or bad, right? So they're going to be a good fit for your group, and you and that sort of thing. Don't ignore it. That's all I have to say.
And I think is to make sure not to allow there to be a breakdown in communication. And sometimes you accept silence. You both get in the room. And you be constructive about how to move it forward. And tricky thing to navigate, and it depends on each person. I think the other piece of this is not to seek help when you need it. Each experienced mentor needs to sometimes have a conversation with a trusted colleague and say, this is driving me nuts. I figure out what to do here. Having that conversation is helpful for somebody to help you strategize what to do differently, how to approach it differently. To encourage us. So one of the things is not to have a conversation with somebody else. Okay. So how do you teach or model resilience? What do you do when everything is falling apart? Oh, nobody knows?
so how does this sort of thing come up? You work with somebody and they write their first run of K-Award, and it doesn't go very well. From what I've seen with K-Award more than other grants or people like later. They take it personally. They think they really, there's real flexibility on there for thinking up and trying something similar, a little different. Situation like that where we took some of the same ideas of the K Award and put it in the loan repayment program. Didn't hit the K Award, but it hit the loan repayment program. So, in a different way. The other way it comes up is in papers. You write your papers and you get a little excellent rejection. I think you probably have a high drawer for rejection. Is to lie, to be somewhere else. Don't give up. I think that's to try and model that and imitate that, because that's what this business is. No question about it.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, I think part of your role as a mentor is to be a cheerleader, even when you don't feel like you can cheerlead. So I get just as upset as they do when their papers are rejected. I try to make sure that I keep my disappointment in check, or at least by waiting until I've sort of had a plan for how are we going to move forward. I might take the night to say, we've just gotten the rejection letter to sort of breathe a minute. I think that if you sort of compound the disappointment and everything else, it just makes it work, right? So so that you're in a position to say, okay, I know this didn't turn out the way that we expected or wanted, but you give us some good feedback on this, that, and the other thing, and so maybe we should try now revising. We'll include some of those points. And this is your path forward, especially early on. I think once you've learned the routine, I think it's especially important for people who are just starting to sort of, if you're meant to be the leader, then part of being that leader is having a plan. It makes everybody feel like the boat's not about to crash, right? So, and then they come up in many different situations, not just the version of papers and grants.
I was going to say it's helpful for the mentees to realize that we've all gone through these episodes during our career, and we tend to want to protect the image of ourselves, but sharing our own challenges and disappointments. Not a few of us have had all of our grants funded, all of our papers accepted on the first try or the second try or the third try, and sharing those experiences with your mentees, I think, is helpful. I think the earlier you are in your career, the less likely you are to sort of share those experiences as you get further on. More willing to that, but it's really something I think is helpful for people to understand that the nature of NIH is 85% or more of grants are rejected, and so all of us have had multiple grants rejected, and letting people know it happened to you and how you overcame it, or how you didn't overcome it and you moved on and went a different route. I think it's very helpful.
I chose this cartoon because I think as the role of a mentor is to take the scrambled yarn and to start to make sense out of it. Like, what are your next steps going to be? Whether that's anything related to academics or personal life or whatever, is to start to make, okay, this is what's working. Let's not lose sight of that. And what are the next steps? And then in that outline of next steps, then people begin to see, yes, there's something that can go forward here in the next steps. All right, so how to foster mentee independence. I have a list, so y'all better get started.
From an HR point of view, what I said earlier is asking the mentor when they come to you with a problem or an issue is asking them what do you think, and asking them to come up with a solution, and then you're there to help them direct and say, well, have you thought about this? Don't just automatically say, oh, you've got to do it this way. But getting them to actually think through an issue, open their, maybe take some blinders off and really evaluate some of the pitfalls you may have covered along your career journey. The second issue, one thing that we suggest in HR is to give them, especially if they're junior, is to give them projects where they can really shine if they succeed, but it won't be detrimental to your lab if they fail. That's, some people that have never done that, that's a good way for them to start building skills in areas that they can take and continue to build on.
Okay, thank you. What else?
So I see this in the grant writing world, where this is junior faculty now, to help faculty writing. If they're not a K award person because they're not really thinking about do round training that they want to undertake, they're thinking O3 or R21 or foundation grant, let them be the PI. I say it that way because it's probably going to require heavy lifting from you as a mentor to prepare the grant. Everybody's first grant is probably not very good. And left to their own, it's so. And I've found that to be a helpful way to help launch somebody. That even if they don't get it, that they feel like they've actually started growing their own boat. In postdoc world, it comes up with job seeking, where they're into the end of their postdoc, maybe they're looking out 8 months or 9 months, and they're starting to look for a job. Think about what kind of position they should take. If they're a psychologist, should they stay in departments of psychology? Should they look into medical school appointments? How do they think about that? And hopefully you had some conversations before that, but this is when you start getting that in earnest. How you negotiate a position, startup packages, and kinds of stuff like that becomes part of that.
Okay. One of the things is to help people understand, here's your current skill set. Here's what you say you want to be. We're going to get you there. What new skill sets do you need to acquire? Are there other things? Who's going to help you get there? And that becomes really important in helping them get where they are. And I think the most important thing is to make sure that they don't get lost. Times people are so good and so independent, we can take our hands off, think, oh, there they go. Yay, another one launched. And realize something right. So don't let them get lost. Anything else?
I think it's important, again, to allow people to make mistakes at the beginning. And that's going to be a research bench, it's going to be in writing papers. Again, now if you're the mentor and you have mentees, how did you learn how to write? You learn how to write by doing it. Well, you have to allow them then the opportunity to do that. This can be, again, time-consuming and somewhat painful, depending. But, if you don't allow people to at least take the crack at writing first drafts and second drafts and working with them to improve, then it's hard for them to learn how to do that. Yeah. And so
Yeah, it's mission to fail and not penalize for failure, unless it's taken a year and they won't leave it, right? Sometimes that's also true. But okay, what are the benefits of mentoring? Why have you been a mentor all these many years? Silence. Let it be known. Notice there is silence.
I started into the business of offering guidance to people before I knew what I was doing. And it sort of mimicked how I got guidance. I was being nervous. Is that a verb now? By people, and I didn't realize until some years later, wow, they helped me get thinking together. So I didn't really choose it, it chose me.
Yeah.
And so what I have got out of it is from talking to people, it's really pretty impressive. And they exceed your expectations, and fantastic. So that becomes a reinforcement.
Right. Agreed. Well, ask, we're almost out of time. I want to ask, are there questions from any of you? Yeah, okay. I did some, and so here's some tips that I found for effective and productive mentee-mentor relationship is keeping communications open, offer support. It's just sitting there listening as they work their through problems and kind of saying, yes, that's a good idea, go, maybe I wouldn't do it that way, however you do it best. Define expectations, maintain contact, be honest, but tactful. Now, there's a hard one. The hard one. Encourage a mentoring or advisory team because you cannot know everything. It's honest.
If I can jump
yeah.
in real quick, one thing I would highly recommend for everybody in this room is if you do not take in like the Myers-Briggs or DISC or one of those other types of personality assessment type surveys on yourself, is I really recommend they can do that. It's a pretty eye-opening experience. It can teach you something about yourself and how you communicate with others. And so if you're aware of how your communication style is and that type of thing, you have past the success when you are perhaps mentoring someone who has a different style than you do, and you can figure out what those tricks are.
Yeah, good point. Be innovative and creative. Get to know each other. Be reliable and consistent. If you say, I will have this done by this time, do it. If they model your response, stay positive and address steps for professional development. What is it where did you want to be, and what do we need to do there? So of the Science magazine, here's the top 10 tips for mentors. You can read the part on the right. When a person pauses to mid-sentence to choose a word, that's the best time to jump in and change the subject. That is not active listening. Start out right, set goals, begin with the right project, live up to your professional standards, take interest in the mentee, seed their growth, provide opportunities for them to grow, provide feedback. Feedback is also mutual. If they can say, well, I really thought you were going to help me do this, listen, network, and enjoy the mentoring ride. So active listening works both ways, that you have to listen carefully. You don't just simply sit there and allow the words to hit your eardrums. You have to pay attention. You have to make eye contact. And I think this is really hard. That it's very easy to sit there and go, yeah, I hear you. That's useful. That was a way, it might make them feel better because they got it off their chest, but it wasn't a good mentoring kind of interaction. Some common errors in mentoring is providing too much help That stalls movement towards independence and encourages dependence, providing too little help because they'll flounder and not learn how to fix the problem. Conflicting demands, difficulty in saying no, and helping them even prioritize in their assignments, conflicting advice, and not seeking advice when you're running into mentoring difficulties. So it's more than just saying, go do what I ask you to do. That's not mentoring. It's more than that. And communication is the key. Now, I have a few more minutes. We have 5 till, is that what?
Till 1.
Till 1, all right. So, the next few things I added this morning is, as I started to think about it, when we have the ethics class in the postdoc office, one of the requirements is that every attendee has to write a case study about the topic in particular. And those topics of conversation, mentor-mentee relationship. So back through the past 5 years, we have a session twice a year, we have 150 case studies every year for mentoring problems. Kind of collated them into 4 hot topics. All right. So we had multiple significant publications. Bottom line is, he's in agreement with his PI that he's going to take his research in this direction and his PI was going to take it in this direction, but they didn't write it down. And at the last minute, the PI's funding was out and Mike's project. Okay, this is a study that this occurs every season in some shape or fashion. All right, so trying to think through, not to put yourself in that position, again, that's why I say write it down, because it impacts Mike and his future directions. Now, whether that's research or whether that's another clinical trial or whatever it is being forthright and into what you agree to. Mary tells her mentor she does not have the time for everything he would like for her to do. He suggests she just needs to do a better job of prioritizing. We said that up front, right? That's a good mentoring skill. Tell them to prioritize and add more projects. So it looks like she cannot say no because she's afraid her mentor will think she is lazy and not give her a recommendation for the next step in her career. This is a communication breakdown and that happens when there's not frequent communication and explaining, well, why didn't this work? Well, you had 10 other things to do. I had to make a choice. So being often is always important. Experimental results are not going according to plans. The lack of good laboratory skills plus clinical workload is making Tim's fellowship experience stressful. And at his first SOC meeting, the major critique is his project is too big and it'll require 4 years. He needs to narrow it down so it can be accomplished, get a paper out in 18 months. He feels defeated and says, that's not for me. So critical about what can this person handle, what are their other constraints, what other things they need to do. Now this is just a reoccurring theme. The last one, she realizes she's not making as good a use of her time because she feels that she had more direction and guidance. Because her PI is often busy writing grants, traveling, so he's not there to meet. She doesn't want to feel like she's spoon-fed an assignment, but she needs more help. But she makes time-costly mistakes, i.e. uses money unnecessarily. Those are equivalent. And so she struggles how to articulate her need for more direction because she's worried her PI might find her intellectually incompetent. Communication. You see that in every one of these cases, it's about communication, not only on the mentee's part, but it's a communication on the PI's part, the mentor's part, and being in touch. Yes?
Communication is also trust.
Yes.
You don't trust each other to openly and honestly communicate.
That's right.
How you fix that.
So the point is that it's not only about communication, it's about trust, and how do you get to the point that you can trust each other? And that means more meetings and not fewer, in my opinion. About what we started out at the very beginning, it's about time. Being a mentor is a time commitment. It's not a time sink, it's a time commitment. Y'all have any comments about any of these? Because I just said these occurring. So questions, make sure you ask.
I only have experience with undergrad, but how found it that there's somebody who could be more independent? You need to do that on your own. I mean, I think you have the resources, right? If it's not going to be able to find on their own necessarily, or, I mean, encourage them to look it up, but not just look it up, look here and in this way and in this manner, or to seek out help from someone else in the lab who maybe got more hands-on right at the moment. Did you ask so-and-so for help with this, if it's a technique or something hands-on that you're struggling with. And then on to the, when we have repeated problems over and over again, where I'm like, okay, look, this, I don't trust you and that I don't think you can do this, but, we keep having the same, technical issue over and over again. So why don't I come in the lab and, we'll do it together and I'll ask you, or, whatever, and that way, my goal here is just to solve the problem, not necessarily to stay away from, a problem, and we need to solve it. So let's try and solve it together. So, if you look it up, where would you go? For whatever they're bringing to you, how would you solve it on your own? And backwards from that to assist them to do, the same. We start with that.
I need errors in both directions. Right? Where I expected a little more independence, and it was the wrong call. In other cases where, so it's hard to get right.
I think sometimes it can be helpful to break the task down. If it's a manuscript, other people are surprised by the thought of writing the first manuscript, for example, but maybe asking them to just work on the methods section, which becomes the easiest work, and having them do that. And that way, it's a small segment. Read something, just do a search and pull the papers, and then once they've done it, then go on with the reading of them and synthesizing information. So I think giving people smaller tasks sometimes.
And when you find someone really just can't seem to go from here to here, say, well, let's break it down into smaller steps and meeting and saying, okay, well, let's talk about how this happens. And be the smallest increment, but that if they can understand that, then you've given them some confidence that they can understand the next steps, right? Finding some place where what they do understand, and then building off of that helps build confidence that they can understand what is there. Yes?
I guess the point that came up is don't underestimate the time that it's going to require the mentor to is going to have to devote to mentee, and it's a long-term relationship that even after mentee leaves to the next stage of their career, you're still providing letters, you're still providing advice. It's a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
That you have to really be know yourself in terms of how many people you can train at a time, and because you know that the responsible from earlier training perhaps or it's a really commitment in terms of time and effort. Very, very rewarding, but still
it is a very rewarding opportunity, and it is a time commitment, but you feel sometimes like a proud parent when they become successful, because it is provides all of these parts are part of mentoring, and seeing them progress, and you think, yeah, I knew them when they didn't even know that you took the tip off the meter before you put it in the solution, right? She's not here, I can say that. All right, we're out of time. Thank you for your conversation.
Join me in thanking our facilitator and and see you all next month, where the New Georgia CPSA will be doing their roadshow with a specific emphasis on the Career Development Award activities and resources that they offer.